Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today on the workbench we have another product review. It is going to be a brushless combo from XC-ESC. I've been featuring a few of their products on my channel lately. We had a bit of a beastie ESC. We ran in the Infraction. I've been working with some of their marine ESCs, and they've been kind enough to send me this one over to have a look at. So without further ado, let's get this sucker opened and see what you get. So this is the E6-ESC. This is capable of 200 amps, and I elected to take their 4990 1650 kV motor. So opening the box, quite nice packaging. I don't believe you can actually buy these as a combo just yet, so you do have to get them separately. That might change in the future, I'm not sure. But like I said, everything's packaged up quite nicely. I suppose you could say this gear would be comparable to a Hobbywing Max 6 sort of combo setup. So that's kind of why I elected to get this package, because the Hobbywing combo is so popular. As is the Castle Creation 1717 combo. So this, I think, is going to be positioned right in between those two, where the Hobbywing will be on the entry level. This will probably be mid-tier, and then I think if you wanted to go big, then you're going for the Castle Creation stuff. So they do bigger ESCs that you can run up to 300 and 500 amps as well, so the options are there to go bigger. But yeah, this is what we're rolling with in this. So we'll open up this box here and have a quick look at the ESC itself. Alright, so this sucker is very nice. First impressions, nice and meaty. We can see, as seen in a couple of the other videos, some really nice caps installed on this. Aluminium, however you want to say it, heatsink. This is going to be really nice for dissipating some heat. Quite a decent sized fan on top. So yeah, first impressions, it is a plastic polymer bottom, and then yeah, the aluminium on top. So 10 gauge wiring. We've got quite a long set of leads for the receiver, and this is able to support I think it's X bus as well, if you're going to be rocking with the Futaba. Again, I've not had much to do with that, but it is an option there. Really nice on-off switches on these, I've noticed. Nice reassuring button on it, feels nice. Waterproof. The whole system is IP67 rated. It's got built-in Bluetooth, which usually is evidenced by a little antenna, but maybe not on this one. So that's nice that it's actually got nothing hanging out. Sensor wire. This also comes with a few little accessories. We have a sensor wire adapter to go to your Castle Creations motor. Okay, so that'll go into a Castle motor, and that will plug into the actual ESC port itself. A little bit of wire if you want to make a Y harness as well. Also 10 gauge silicon wired. It's all pre-tinned. So yeah, a little bit of heat shrink and a few other little accessories there. So we'll get a bit of a closer look at this shortly, but let's go ahead and open up the motor and take a look at that. Alright, so let's open this sucker up and take a look. Ooh, shiny. Nice packaging, I have to say. That is beefy packaging, so very happy with that. Let's try and get this out again, one-handed, very difficult. Alright, okay. That is very beastie, guys. Bit of foam down the bottom to protect everything, so that's nice to see. But other than that, fairly basic packaging. So as we can see here, this is a 4990 1650 kV censored motor. This has 8 gauge silicon wiring, and quite nice long leads as well. I would say these could be shortened if you needed them to be. 6.5mm bullets, which are going to plug straight into, you know, obviously the XC-ESC, a Hobby Wing ESC, and also the Castle Creations MMX 8S ESCs, and numerous others. So 5mm shaft on this. So I don't know if they make an 8mm shaft variant. I would have to look into that. But I went for something that's just a bit more common. We're going to use in a lot of different... The 5mm shaft is generally acceptable. So quite a meaty unit that feels really nice in the hands, guys. Nice machined heat sinks across the can. Nice big 2mm screws, which is nice. None of these dainty little 0.5mm jobbies. They strip out so easily, so that's nice to see that this is going to be really solid constructions. Alright, so this is my Arma Notorious 6S. This does have an old faithful Max 6 combo in it. This isn't the new G2, I think, combo that they do. It may be censored. I'm not 100% sure on that, actually, off the top of my head, but this one isn't, and it is very common to see these in rigs these days. So straight away, taking a look at the motors, we're going to see that they are quite similar. It's hard to sort of see both of these. I would say there are some design characteristics blended between the two, but you can see again these dainty little cap screws on these. They really just don't cut the mustard. The wiring, we've got 10 gauge on the Hobby Wing stuff, and like I said, we step up to 8 gauge on the XC motor. Wire length as well is substantially longer, so all your infractions, all that sort of stuff is going to easily reach right across when you have the motor on one side, ESC on the other. Or you can, of course, trim them down to length. The shorter, the better. So the ESC itself, again, don't be deceived by the similar looks. These do have their own components. So there's not many ways you can skin the cat in terms of ESC shape and design, where you can fit capacitors and have the wires coming out, etc. But I will say that the cooling heatsink on the XC-ESC is much larger than the Hobby Wing, and also the wires, they are similar between the two, both being 10 gauge. So yeah, just wanted to show you at least the footprint difference. There's also a bigger fan on the XC-ESC, so I just wanted to at least show that to you all as a bit of a comparison. Alright, so first fire up on the bench, we're going to turn the ESC on. Fan spins up. That's quite a nice little fan spinning in there as well. Turn the Bluetooth on, and there it is straight away. Bang. Easy as that to connect and start looking at some of these parameters. I did just want to touch over a couple of the other features of the ESC I might have breezed over in just opening it up a little bit earlier. Now, it is rated for 3 to 8S LiPo. That's pretty commonplace in a lot of the 6th, 7th, 8th scale vehicles we use today. It's rated for 200 amps continuous. Now, I'm not sure what the Hobby Wings are these days. The Spectrums are 160 amp. I know that much, or at least they were. I don't know if they've upped. I don't think they're 200 amps. So already it's an upgrade over your stock Spectrum sort of stuff. The Hobby Wing might be a little bit beefier these days. The old G1, the one I showed you a little bit earlier, that is just 160 amps, that's for sure. But besides that, obviously it's a censored capable ESC. The BEC is capable of 6 volt, 7.4 volt, 8.4 volt, and can supply 8 amps continuously as well. Of course, the Bluetooth is built into it. And yeah, so with that said, let's go ahead and have a look at some of the parameters we have in here. So obviously we have our standard running modes for vehicles, forwards with brake or reverse and brake, and forward with just reverse. You might use that in like a crawler configuration where you don't need brakes. You might use a drag brake instead perhaps. LiPo cells, that's obviously configurable between 3 and 8S, which is of course what the ESC is rated for. Our BEC, a lot of us are running 7.4 volts now. All our servos and whatnot benefit from that extra voltage. And like I said, having an 8 amp continuous BEC in this is quite beefy as well. It's actually able to, I'll have a quick look here, 25 amps short term. So that's quite considerable. So quite happy with that. Of course, we can change the motor rotation there from clockwise to counterclockwise, which you do need to be able to do when you run a censored motor. Other than that, just the standard parameters here. Change your brake force, your acceleration, which would be your punch. You have your turbo timing and turbo delay. I have mentioned this in other videos here. So you have your turbo timing here, which we can see, all right, 0 through to 26. And then you have, that's as in timing to put into a motor. So if you have a Y-wind motor, you can pump some timing into those. The turbo delay, so the timing kicks in at full throttle on these. So partial throttle is just normal 0 degrees timing. When you get to full throttle, that's when the timing really kicks in like a boost. And you can actually delay that. So between just instant 0 seconds, or you can take it out to 1 second before that actually feeds that timing in. So depending on how quickly and how powerful you want that to come in, that is actually something you can modify and play with. Cooling fan, oh look at that, you can turn that always on if you want that, or temperature controlled. I'm not sure what temperature you can expect that fan to come on with. Let me see if I can quickly see that. Alright, so the fans will kick on at 55 degrees centigrade, and as the ESC cools below 50, the ESC will turn those fans off. So this is something important to note. Motor pole pairs number. Okay, so I have mentioned this in some of the other videos I've shown of the other ESCs. You have to remember this is pairs of poles. So if you have a 4-pole motor, you would pick 2 pairs. 6-pole, 3 pairs. Yeah, other than that, I haven't changed anything in there except for changing the BEC to 7.4 volts. So we hit the save button, job done. Alright, other than that, firmware, let's have a look here. Let's see if there is a firmware update. Oh, look at that. So I'm going to let that update. Alright, just like that, that's updated. So very nice. I wonder if I have to disconnect it, or if I go back into firmware here. Oh, look at that, firmware version, straight. That took like a minute, guys. That was really fast and easy, so pretty happy with that. Alrighty, and this is going to be the test bench for these electronics. Affectionately, I call this my Mojave. It is essentially a Creighton 6S, and it's been paired up onto a Mojave chassis. This truck was made quite some time ago, before we saw the likes of sort of like the Fire Team and this sized truck coming from Armour. I've had this for a long time now, and it's been great. But I've always had one complaint, which is the ESC. I've never really gone really hard with the truck, so I've always just basically lived with it. But if you really punch this thing off the line, it'd actually stutter, which is basically an amp cut. I've turned the punch down, the punch up. No matter what you do, it does have a stutter. Even with the 1200 kV or 1100 kV motor, I think it is, that you get in the Creighton 8S trucks, which is what this is out of. It always stuttered, so I think it's just, not all ESCs would do it, but it's just an example of why I'm not a big fan of these Spectrums. They just don't perform, unfortunately. So I'm going to get this system out, and we're going to get the new gear installed, and yeah, we'll get out and give this thing a bit of a hiding and gear it up a bit and see what it can do. Alright, so I got the Spectrum stuff out of here. I'm just going ahead and lining everything up, and I noticed that on the end bell of this new XC motor that it actually has provision for 30mm offset bolts and also your standard 25mm. So we've got two 25mm orientations and also a 30mm orientation. So that's going to fit some of the larger trucks as well, which is a nice little thing to note. One other noticeable thing is these are all M4 screws. None of this janky M3 business. So that's really nice. Going to be mounting it to this M2C Racing ESC mount. Can confirm that the hole pattern is the same as all the other standard ESC types, Hobbywing and so on and so forth. Okay guys, finally time to give this thing a bit of a rip. We're on 6S with a CNHL 120C pack. It's a bit of an ordinary one. Everything's locked and loaded, 20-tooth pinion, so we'll see how it goes. We're just going to rock this in my backyard, up and down the street a bit, see how it goes. Alright, first impressions on the censored factor, tiny little bit of throttle. Yeah, that's nice. Plenty of punch. Oh yeah, it's plentiful. I've got no wheelie bar on this truck, so got to be careful. Oh yeah, there's plenty of grunt, guys. Nice and smooth. Brakes feel good. Full throttle. Okay, we've got some. Whoa. I am getting some full throttle in there, so we'll see what the amperage is. Full throttle. This truck is not stable at these speeds. I'm going to give it lots of brakes and full throttle stuff, see what the temperatures do. Whoa! And I might actually have a tyre not happy. Oh, that was rough. Try again. Oh, you gotta love censored, guys. This thing rips. Oh, I think something busted. Oh, guys, what a bummer. What do we do? Pull a pillow ball. Ah, oh, pulled her straight out, guys. All right, I'll go and get this repaired and we'll pick this up again. Alrighty. And we'll give that another go. let's see how she goes. Alrighty, we're going to have a quick look at the temps. The fans are running on the ESC. What do we got here? So 120, 110, 113, 118. That's it, turn it off, sweetie, thank you. 115, and on the motor 164. 150s on the end of the bell. I saw 170. So yeah guys, we'll get inside and we'll have a look at the logs and see what they have to say. Alrighty, so we can see here we had the first session there, and then that's when we busted the wheel, and then the car sat idle for quite some time, and then we got back into it for the second run there. Let's see here. I'm not sure what the blue lines are here. It says REV. I don't know what that is. I think it's something to do with connection to the car or something to that effect. I'm not 100% sure on it, but we definitely, as far as I know, didn't disconnect at all on it. However, through the run, we saw a total of 337.1 amps as a max, 35,500 RPM, and motor temperature got up to 98 degrees C, and the ESC got up to 72. So I would say that the ESC temps and the motor temps are indicative that we are perhaps slightly over geared. If we zoom in towards around about here and have a look, we're going to see that the battery voltage is actually starting to get down around the 22 volt mark there. Okay, so as the battery voltage goes down, the system has to pull more amps to give the same power, and so you're always going to generate more heat that way. Towards the beginning of the run, actually, let's have a look back over here. Let's see what sort of temps we see at the beginning of the run. You know, we peaked out at 67 degrees on the motor. Back over here, yeah, see, we're already starting to get into the 80s when we were picking it back up. So I would say that this is probably overgeared slightly. Again, I wasn't being very friendly to the way I was driving it. It was very heavy on throttle, heavy on the brakes. Really, you don't want to use the brakes much when you're driving, because that is drawing current to actually apply the brakes and therefore generating more heat. So I would probably, personally, I would stick with this, and I would know I could only run the car for a couple of minutes, and I'd have to probably pull up, let it chill, and get going. You could put a motor fan, something to that effect on it. But I think the results are pretty good. We got a couple of good runs in, I thought, on that first session. Reasonable runs anyway. Nothing too crazy. See, just here was a solid, decent run. Yeah, we got up to 35,000 RPM. and amp current 84.6 amps. So really it only spikes the amps when you sort of punch that throttle. See right there, that was a good 200 and something I just saw. I'm just trying to look for where that 300 amp hit was. It'll probably be back over here when the battery's getting a little bit lower. And probably not zoomed in enough, sorry guys. Just there. Yeah, there it is, 337.1 amps. And that was just a blip on the throttle, pulling those wheelies, you know. So, but at the end of the day, that ESC was cruising in terms of its temperature. Very, very happy overall with how that performed. So, look, time will tell with how it runs. In just durability, it's only going to just be told with time. I don't get out with the cars as much as I used to these days, so really when a lot more people start getting a hold of these things and putting them through the ringer, that's when we're going to see actual durability results coming in. But going by the Marine ESC that I ran and it hitting over 100 degrees centigrade and still ripping, I think we're off to a good start. So anyway, guys, that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed the overview and the running video of the vehicle. Let me know what you think of the gear in the comments below. Please like it, dislike it. I don't really care about that so much, but if you have something to say, please drop a comment below. I always enjoy reading the comments and hearing what you guys think of the videos and what we're looking at. Anyway, guys, stay safe, be well, and I will see you in the next video. See ya.